Oops.
Okay, there's one. There's one. Now we'll go live over here. All right. Share, share, share.
Hot diggity dog. Let me get on that share right quick.
Happy Thursday, everybody.
Greatest of Thursdays, wherever you're at in the world. I trust you're enjoying the weather. Some people are having spring break. Whatever you're doing, we trust you are living a very vibrant and abundant life. If not, you need to be connected with us more.
That is so true. And there's opportunities for that. You just have to make them. You have to make your opportunities.
Or just when you see the opportunity, work from a place of what do I have to gain by this opportunity, not what is it costing me. Like there's one of two ways. Like people look at something and say, that really I can benefit from that. But man, that's going to cost me a lot of time. That's going to cost me a lot of effort. That's going to cost me a lot financially. That's going to like, that's all perspective. But when you go and say, man, what do I have to gain? Like there's so much benefit for me. Like I'm excited about what my future holds. That's when you come from that place, you really start unlocking a lot of the things that have been holding you back and keeping you what some people would call stuck. Right. So today's going to be a fun conversation. We always don't know what we're going to be discussing or talking about up till maybe the day before. And so as we were letting some things marinate in our brain over the week, and I've been spending the last 2 weeks in great detail, finishing up the offer for the next TM90. So it's ready to go. I'm officially launching the registration today. So if this TM90, the 90-day transformation method, you know, working inward on yourself, working from the inside out versus the outside in, which we've proven is a broken model, and that's something that interests you or you want to be committed to, then I'll drop that link below in this after this conversation so that we can start getting people registered and start expanding the quality of their life and working from changing their habits, their thought patterns, their limiting self-beliefs, the subconscious identities in which we can break free from that we don't even know we're living in most of the time because it's all subconscious. And it is exciting. So with that, I was thinking, how can we make today like applicable? How can we just give simplicity and make it easy for people when they choose to make a change, they can make a change on their own time. And I've been coaching and working through a series of questions that allows and helps and provokes people to do that. And that's what occurred to me. Like it dawned on me. I'm like, hey, let's talk about the where, why, how, and then there's gonna be an extra what added. So I want to walk through that process. But Gail, when you first heard this, the where, why, how did that benefit you?
Well, introspection, right? If we're honest with ourselves and we answer the tough questions that sometimes we avoid answering, like, well, where am I? Who am I? What do I want? Where do I want to go? And it causes some pause and reflection in our own lives. So I've benefited greatly from just the introspection of answering those questions for myself. And that's what we're going to bring to you today.
I have a feeling we're going to be dropping some gems today, like a clumsy jeweler. That's what we're going to be doing. Like, oh, we got all these great things. Oh, let's go. No, that's great. I'm going to share this right quick because I've not done that because I've been captivated in our conversation, and let's just get after it. So I would be honored if I could start and sort of be able to explain this step-by-step process. And by all means, jump in. What have you learned during the time in experiencing this? But as I just said, think about this, write this down. Just take a clean sheet of paper, your favorite writing utensil, and write down where, why, how. And write that on the far left side, give yourself plenty of space to take any notes. And then, because we're going to follow that, like there's a question attached to each one of these words. And because most people, when they find themselves in a place that they're not satisfied with, or they're not happy with. They look in the mirror and they're like, gosh, like what's happened to me? Like, where did this weight come from? Well, how did I get look so aged or so weathered, or what's happened? And then what's the first question they typically ask themselves? They ask themselves, well, what am I going to do to change this? Like, what am I going to do? And that's a behavior instead of who's the person that I've been that's allowed me to get in this type of condition or this shape or have this type of confidence or this self-esteem. Now that's sort of forward thinking here, but there's questions that you should be asking yourself prior to that become very deep. They're very vulnerable questions. And these aren't things you have to share with anybody else, but just ask yourself these questions. The first one is where, and it's simply, where are you? Like, really, where are you? You must be honest with yourself when you ask yourself this question, where am I? Because there's something that I like to determine as objective reality and a subjective reality, because most of us live in a very subjective reality. Subjective reality is the way that you perceive things to be. Like, you look at yourself and you're like, well, you start negotiating, you start like giving yourself reasons why it's okay to be out of shape or overweight or obese. And we don't even realize it because it's insidious. We've put on that weight over time, and we don't attach enough pain to that or reasons that we want to make a shift. So objective reality is just the way things are. Like, if you were to step on the scale, that's your objective scale weight. There's nothing subjective about it. That's what your body weight is. You take your body fat percentage. That is an objective measure. So you can see how much of your total body is adipose or fat tissue versus what lean tissue is. Muscle, bone, skin, brain matter, like that's all lean tissue. So that's a very objective measure. The lower our body fat percentage, the healthier our body can operate and function. But most people don't know that. They just look at themselves as a being and are like, they just make judgmental assessments on themselves. That's subjective reality. It reminds me of a time when I was at Panera Bread. And I've shared this story before. I was at Panera. This was BC, before COVID, like when things were open and you can go in and, nobody's panicking, nobody's wearing masks. And I was sitting adjacent from a group of women that worked there. There was 3 girls that were working there, and they were taking a lunch break. I was sitting there doing some work. I was on the computer, and they've seen me there regularly. I've been there quite a bit. And one of the girls just kind of reached over and said, "Excuse me, are you a trainer?" And I said, "Oh, well, yeah, to an extent." I go, "What gave it away?" You just look fit. You're always I listen to your conversations. You're talking about health, nutrition, and fitness and workouts. And I go, "Yeah, that's a great assumption. I would say that. Yeah, I'm a trainer." And so I walked over there and started engaging with them. And one of the girls asked me the probably most common question of ever, is like, what should I be eating if I want to become healthier, or I want to lose weight, or I want to drop fat? And so we started talking about it, and I asked her, well, what are you currently eating? And she had a hard time answering that. Like, I don't know. She didn't know what she was actually putting in her mouth. So she didn't actually have the awareness to it. But the point of this is, there was, after probably 10 or 15 minutes of conversation and dialogue, one of the other girls that was sitting there, she was a bit heavier. She was really pretty, but she was just carrying an extra probably 60 or 70 pounds of body fat on her body. And so she goes, well, what about me? What if I'm just big boned? I said, what would you say to me? Well, the first thing I said, my instinct reacted, and I said, well, you're delusional. She was like taken back. She's like, what do you mean? Like, you're living in a subjective reality. Because I'll venture to say this, go lose 60 pounds, because that's what she said. She goes, well, I'd enjoy losing 60 pounds. Go lose 60 pounds, and you'll come to find that your bones aren't that big. So you must be honest with yourself and where you're currently at. So the more clearly you define that, to the extent that you're going to be the person that you need to be in order to change that. So once you find out where you are, and you can take those objective measures, you can go take your body fat and your measurements and go take pictures and of yourself, take your front, take your side, take your back, start taking some progress imagery so that it can either inspire you or you can create the emotion of, oh gosh, this is horrible. Well, that is your objective reality. Who or where are you? And then the second where is going to be simply, where do you want to go? It still blows my mind how many people don't have any idea of where they want to go. They continue flying by the seat of their pants. They're just going along with the way the wind's blowing. And they don't have any direction because they don't have clarity to where they desire to go. They have a very vague vision of what their future is or what they desire or what their objective outcome is. And we say, when you have a vague vision, it's almost automatic, you will produce a vague outcome, a vague result, because your brain, your subconscious mind can't go to work on producing something that's vague. There's no specificity to it. So you must have a vision that excites you. Like, where do you want to go? You must have a vision that excites you. And when your vision is clear, so are your life choices. Let me say that again. When your vision is clear and you know exactly where you want to go, based on where you currently are, by the way, if you can't admit or bring awareness to where you currently are, then it's going to be challenging to find out where you want to go. If I was in New York City and Gail, you said, hey, I want to come visit you, tell me how to get there to New York City. I'll be like, well, where are you coming from? I don't know. Well, are you in Wyoming? Are you in Oklahoma? Are you in Surprise, Arizona? Like, where are you? And if you don't know where you're at, then the path to get to where you desire to go, think about a roadmap. Think about your GPS. You can't plug in where you're at now, or it doesn't have the ability to automatically pull up where you are. And the smartphones weren't so smart, you wouldn't know how to get to where you're going. So that in which you don't confess, you'll never commit to, but you must confess where you're at now. So your vision really is just as simple as your life purpose. And I'll share this as well, because I've been in sales probably the last 25, 30 years, selling fitness, encouraging people to be healthier versions of themselves, selling health club memberships, selling personal training. And I would almost know without a shadow of a doubt when I wouldn't acquire a new member or a new personal training client when I asked that same question. And I would just simply ask, well, you're here in the gym, you're inquiring, we took a tour. What do you want? What do you want your body to do for you? Where do you see yourself in the next 30 days, the next 90 days? What does your life look like? What does it feel like? What are you doing that you're not currently doing now? And I'm telling you, like, those people would not join. Even if I gave it to them for nothing, they would still figure out a way to be like, no, it's all right. So you must know where you want to go. The third one. This is a powerful one. Why do you want it? Why? So why? Where are you? Where do you want to go? And why the heck do you want to be where you want to go? You must be emotionally driven in this process. Remember, it's emotional intensity. You have to get your heart involved when you're going to be making a change in your life, or you're going to be making a transformation, whatever that means to you. You must get emotionally charged.
I'm taking notes. I don't know about anybody else, but this is awesome.
Yeah, I told you, we drop some gems, and I've been coaching and teaching on this for years now, and it's sort of been, I won't say it's been, thought over, because we dive much deeper than this, but this is like just some easy stuff. Like, these are easy questions that you can ask yourself. The responses aren't always necessarily easy, but they're simple enough to be like, okay, that makes sense. Where am I? Where do I want to go? Why do I want it? How do I become emotionally charged in desiring where I want to go? But here's the thing, your why won't be relevant, or it's not going to be important if you don't know where you're going or where you already are. Because we talk about that as well. It's like, it's not working from where we are today to where we're going. It's already operating at point B.
Mm-hmm.
We're starting with the end in mind. So goals, where you want to go without reasons, like without emotional intensity, it's impotent. It's dead. There's no goal. There's no reason to do it without a strong reason or intention why we're doing what we want to do. And then we'll say the final one, but we've added one in there because it just makes sense how everything ties in together. Where, why, how? Just how are you going to get there? And that's where most people start, is like, how am I going to lose the weight? How am I going to position my meal plans so that they're going to be efficient for me every day? How am I going to be disciplined? What are you not doing right now that you know you should be doing to be where you want to go? Because you can't change the fruits on the tree today, but you can start changing the fruits tomorrow by actually giving yourself visual stimulation and imagery to where you want to go. And that is simply, where do I want to go? And let me start creating that vision. Let me start creating that imagery of me being there. What does my healthiest body feel like? What does it look like? What size clothes am I wearing? What do I see when I look in the mirror? How is my confidence when I'm going on my summer vacation? Because you're already experiencing it. And then the one that we've added, because it would make zero, well, there's obviously sense involved in here, but to tie it all in together is like, who do I need to be, or how do I need to be to have what I want and where I want to go? And that comes purely from characteristics and your ways of being. Because right now we live our life through an identity that is subconscious without even realizing that we're living through this subconscious identity. And the subconscious identity are the characteristics in which we operate from. So if we could say, all right, well, the thing I need to do is I need to get my butt up and start walking, because I know when I've done it in the past and I've walked for 10 days, 20 days, 30 days consecutively, I felt great. I started losing a little bit of weight, but then sort of you realize that your life started cooling back down to where it was 30 days prior or 20 days prior, 10 days prior, because you were meeting the consistency of your identity. So it doesn't matter what you do. The how are you going to get there really long-term will be irrelevant if you don't make a decision in who you're going to be. You're going to be committed. You're going to be responsible. You're going to be self-integral. If you tell yourself you're going to take the walk, then be integral and do the thing you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. And the distinction between integrity and personal integrity is that you don't have anybody holding you accountable to it. You're doing it when nobody else is watching. You don't need validation from people or approval from somebody because you've honored a commitment to yourself. That is change. That is literally reprogramming yourself subconsciously from the inside out when you're working from who you need to be, not waiting for all the external conditions in your life to be ideal or to be perfect or for the sun to come out, because right now it's snowing outside on the 31st of March. Once it stops snowing, then I'll go take my walk. No, you take the stinking walk because you told yourself you're going to take the stinking walk. And what happens when we do the things we tell ourselves we're going to do and we're being a particular way? Our confidence goes up. When our confidence goes up, we need less approval from everybody else around us. That's the power of who you're choosing to be. Are you being driven? Are you being disciplined? Are you being courageous? Meaning, are you doing things outside your comfort zone? Or are you staying in your shell? Waiting again for the external things to change, and then you might take a little bit of a leap. So that how really predicates your level and desire to make a change in your life. So the more clearly you define, even the more pain that you associate with, and the more real you are about your current state, like be real with where you are, is to the extent that you're going to be the person that you need to be in order to make the change that you desire. Now, this isn't motivational. Like, this isn't a motivational rah, rah. This is literally just transformational, impactful process. This is a format. This is a formula that you can take these 5 steps, and you work through these on a regular basis, and you're consistent. That's another way of being that most people fall flat on their face for. They're just so inconsistent, then how are they ever going to produce a particular result that they don't currently have? Because they're inconsistent. But once you make a decision, like a non-negotiable, real decision, to say, no matter what I choose to do, I'm going to be consistent. You can't tell me that you're going to start producing a different outcome that's going to be sustainable, because you're literally rewiring your brain and the plasticity of your brain to be a consistent person with that behavior or doing. We're finishing our 90-day transformation method today. Today's the final day, and we're starting our next one on the 8th of April. So Friday is going to be our official launch, where you can commit to something so small. Honor yourself, be a promise keeper, do the thing that you're not doing. It doesn't matter why you're not doing it. I know why you're not doing it. You don't know why you're doing it, or you don't know why you're not doing it. But we finished this here today, 90 days. And let's talk about my movement. My movement was, I've done 20 push-ups per day, every day for 90 consecutive days. I did not miss one push-up. And I want you to equate this to anything in your life right now. Anything that's going to be important or relevant, or what you know is going to create a fantastic compound effect in your life. 90 days, 20 push-ups. But behind the scenes, we have like this bonus opportunity where you just double your movement. Like if you say you're going to walk 1 mile, but you walk 2 miles, you've earned a bonus point on our scoreboard. And we have an accountability tracker that is public in our group. It's a very exclusive group where we have accountability buddies, and we hold ourselves to doing the things we tell ourselves we're going to do, even when we don't want to do it. But after doing 40 push-ups per day, every day, because I honor the bonus as well, I double my promise every single day. That's 3,600 push-ups. I've done 3,600 push-ups in 2022 thus far. All because I committed to 20 push-ups per day, which ended up to be a bonus. I do 40 per day, 3,600 push-ups. I'm stronger. My shoulder pain's gone away. I've had wrist ailment prior to doing this. That's gone away because I've been using it through consistency. My strength in the gym has gone up. There's been a lot of benefit to me just committing consistently to doing push-ups every day. Well, Steve, 20 push-ups, that's nothing for you. It doesn't matter what's nothing for anybody. If I'm not consistent with it, then I'm not creating a behavior or a habit that I desire to create.
Amen.
So those are five steps that you can put into a simple formula: where, why, how, and who. So
All right.
let's recapitulate that. Gail, do you want to recapitulate that one?
Oh, that word this makes me chuckle because, but it's recap, right?
It is the organic word of recap. Recapitulate.
Well, what I can tell you about my recapitulation of this conversation is get out a pen and paper and take notes and really be honest with yourself. Your inspiration on demand. I'm just sitting here smiling for the last 20 minutes because I've had the privilege, Steve, of being around you pretty consistently for the past 2 years and within the transformation method. And what our audience has just witnessed with you sharing these 5 simple questions is what many of us promise keepers, dozens of us promise keepers, have had the ability to relate to and listen to and learn from over the past 2 years. And I would be remiss if I said we are not different human beings for how we've shown up for ourselves in our own lives. And that's the who we chose to become. And the conversations that happen, Deborah this morning, she sends me a message on a word that was just brought to her attention. And it's like, wow, who are you having conversations with? Who are the people in your life that elevate you and take you to the next level, that you look up to and you see something in them and you want to be around them because our friend Josh Geddick says you're the sum of the people you hang around the most. And when you're hanging around with committed, consistent, responsible people, it's going to make you more committed, consistent, and responsible in your own life. And take advantage of the opportunity to become the person you desire to become through an environment that creates growth for you personally.
Yeah, I know you can, and this is for whoever's listening, you can create whatever you desire to create in a 90-day period. And once you have that momentum, you'll be surprised, or perhaps you won't be surprised, how sustainable that really is when you implement just the simple, easy thing, something so simple, it's almost impossible not to do it. It could be you just bringing more awareness to how much water you're drinking, because there's so much talk about how beneficial water is. And most people don't even know how much water they're consuming. And it's part of survival. And once you have awareness to how much water you're drinking and you're like, okay, well, I want to drink more water, you just drink a little bit more until there's an adaptation. And then you can start implementing and elevating that number. But this is all your commitment. This is your promise to yourself. And what can you accomplish in 90 days? How different will your life be and look and feel? How much more energy will you have in 90 days when each day you're just making a commitment to yourself and you're honoring that commitment? It's like every time you fulfill that promise, you're taking a brick and you're putting it into the wall and you're building a stronger foundation each and every day until it's unbreakable. And you literally become a different person because you've chosen to become a different person. It's not by what you're doing, by the way, it's by who you're being. So we measure the actions, not the results. Because that's what you've been doing up to this point. You've always measured the results. And then when the results don't meet your expectations, we crumble. We just simply measure the actions. So yeah, Gail, this is fantastic. And obviously every week we show up, people can sense our enthusiasm for just being present and available to help and work and coach and provoke people into the greater version of themselves when they're the right person at the right place at the right time. So I will post the registration and open up to whomever is ready for that transformation. And we will have a fantastic start to April 8th, 2022.
Yes, sir. Let's go.
You're ready to go? Say, let's go. Remember, you have the power to change, to make the rest of your life the best of your life. And let's make it a day certainly worth repeating. Woo woo. I'm out.
We're out.